Listen, if you walked up to me on the firing line right now and asked for a dependable defensive tool or a solid range plinker for under a single Benjamin, I would probably laugh first. In 2025, inflation has hit the firearms industry incredibly hard. But let me tell you, from decades of running everything from high-end custom 1911s to absolute garbage rod surplus rifles, you can absolutely still arm yourself. Or just have a blast hitting steel. For less than $100 out the door. You do not need a SOCOM operator budget to exercise your Second Amendment rights. I remember digging through dusty pawn shop bargain bins, wondering if a $50 pistol would just detonate like a fragmentation grenade in my palm. But after thousands of trigger pulls, clearing endless stovepipes, and learning what actually runs when things get dirty, I have discovered some absolute hidden gems out there. Today, we are taking a hard, tactical look at 5 distinct weapon systems that you can legitimately secure for under $100. We will cover the hardware, the ballistics, and the exact reconnaissance strategy for hunting down these deals. The classic rimfire wheel gun, first up on the firing line, is an absolute staple for any American gun owner. I am talking about the Heritage Rough Rider. If you want to channel your inner Wyatt Earp without taking out a second mortgage to buy a pristine Colt single-action army, this is your ticket. Chambered in .22 long rifle. You can routinely catch these on big box store shelves for exactly $99. And if you know how to negotiate at local gun shows, you can practically steal a used one for the cost of a decent steak dinner. Operating this wheel gun is an exercise in pure, old-school mechanics. Flipping open that loading gate and sliding in cartridges one by one forces you to slow down and respect the process. Sure, it completely lacks the tactical speed of a modern striker-fired pistol, but from a pure training perspective, that manual hammer cocking requirement between every single shot is a massive advantage. It completely eliminates trigger slap and forces heavy focus on your front sight alignment and breathing. I have tortured mine with massive bulk buckets of dirty rimfire ammo, and the timing stays perfectly locked up. Plus, if you want to stretch its legs, just grab the aftermarket .22 Magnum conversion cylinder. It instantly turns a quiet plinking toy into a highly capable varmint exterminator. The utilitarian workhorse. Moving into the semi-automatic rifle category, we have the Savage Model 64. While everyone constantly obsesses over the Ruger 10/22, this little savage is the unsung hero of the working man's gun safe. It utilizes a brilliantly simple direct blowback operating system. Fewer moving parts means a drastically lower price point, and far less chance of catastrophic failure when the receiver gets fouled up with carbon. It feeds from a very reliable, heavy-duty 10-round detachable box magazine. I scooped one up from a neglected used rack a while back for just $80 in cash. That exact rifle has spent countless hours bouncing around in the bed of my truck. Whether I am running transition drills on steel plates at 50 yards or handling a serious coyote problem out on the property, it simply performs without complaining. The factory-adjustable iron sights are incredibly intuitive for getting new shooters dialed in right out of the gate. 2. Find these at rock-bottom prices. You have to stock the used inventory at your local mom-and-pop shops. Guys trade these in constantly when they upgrade to centerfire bolt guns. Wait for those massive Black Friday retail events, and you will see brand new units dip right below that $100 mark. The deep concealment bargain bin. All right, let us address the elephant in the room. The ultra-budget, pocket-sized handguns, often dismissed as complete junk. Many purists will tell you to completely avoid these Zamac alloy cast pistols. But if you are dead broke and need a self-defense tool tonight, we have to look at the tactical reality of the situation. I have added a few of these mechanical oddities to my collection over the years for literal pennies. Take the Italian FIE Titan chambered in .25 ACP. I scored mine for under $100, and it became an experimental deep cover backup. Now, let me be crystal clear with you. .25 ACP is notoriously anemic when it comes to terminal ballistics, and modern defensive hollow points for it are ridiculously expensive. But when the chips are down, a small metallic frame spitting lead at bad breath distances is a massive tactical advantage over empty hands. Mine runs surprisingly well, feeding smoothly without hanging up on the feed ramp. However, I cannot say the same for the Lorsen 9mm. That is a prime example of incredibly poor metallurgy. The slides on those can literally crack under the intense pressure of hot defensive loads. It sits in my safe purely as an educational piece to show students what not to carry. Then you have the infamous High Point, chambered in 380 ACP. You can easily secure a used one for under a C-note. Yes, it possesses the aerodynamic profile of a concrete cinder block, but that massive heavy slide makes the direct blowback system incredibly durable, and it drastically reduces the felt recoil impulse. The bottom line here? Shop smart and inspect thoroughly. Look for those labeled as gunsmith specials. Sometimes a $50 pistol just needs a $5 recoil spring to get fully back into the fight as your dedicated tackle box gun. European military surplus. Shifting our focus to full-power rifle cartridges, let us talk about the Italian Carcano family. Right now, the importer market is absolutely flooded with these historic bolt-action rifles. If you monitor the online inventory drops, securing one for $99 is a very real possibility. I personally bought a whole crate of 5 during a major liquidation event just to see what condition they were in. You will mostly encounter the long infantry patterns or the incredibly fast-handling cavalry carbines. The vast majority are chambered in the original 6.5 by 52mm, though you might stumble across a .30 caliber conversion if you look hard enough. These are true military specification weapons built for harsh global warfare. Even at over 80 years old, my cavalry carbine locks up tight and prints incredibly consistent groups on paper. The main tactical hurdle you will face here is logistics. Finding 6.5 Carcano ammunition on a local store shelf is virtually impossible in 2025. But if you have a reloading press mounted on your workbench, this platform transforms into an incredibly cheap and highly capable shooter. Keep a close eye on major distributors like Royal Tiger Imports or J&G Sales. When buying surplus, always bring a bore light. Make sure you inspect the barrel for severe pitting caused by decades of corrosive primers sitting in armories. The straight pull powerhouses. Rounding out our budget arsenal, we have the legendary Austrian Steyr rifles, specifically the Model 95 and the older 88/90. These utilize a brilliantly engineered straight pull bolt mechanism. Instead of lifting and pulling like a standard Mauser, you just rip the bolt straight back and violently slam it forward. It provided frontline troops with a devastatingly fast rate of fire in the trenches. I managed to grab 3 of these during a frantic online flash sale for $99 a piece. The Model 95 is an absolute tank. It fires the massive 8x56mm rimmed cartridge. Fair warning from personal range experience. The recoil impulse is violently sharp, but the sheer destructive power downrange is undeniable. The older 88/90 variants are beautiful mechanical time capsules, but you really need to stick to reduced pressure loads or black powder to keep the locking mechanisms from failing. Just like the Carcano, feeding these beasts requires patience and preparation. Companies like PPU occasionally drop fresh batches of brass, but you really need to roll your own ammo to run these consistently on the weekends. Hunt down the cracked stock specials from classic Firearms. With a little bit of gun oil, some solvent, and elbow grease, you can restore a masterpiece of old-world engineering for the cost of a nice dinner. Final range commands. So there is your proof. Even in 2025, you can still exercise your God-given rights without completely liquidating your savings account. Whether you want the slow, deliberate, fundamental training of the heritage Rough Rider, or the raw combat history of a Steyr straight-pull rifle, the hardware is out there waiting for you. But you have to put in the recon work. Set up automated pricing alerts on Gunbroker. Walk into your local pawn shops, shake the owner's hand, and build a solid relationship. And I cannot stress this operational security rule enough. If you are buying used, especially century-old surplus, do a rigorous safety and function check. Verify the locking lugs are not sheared, check the rifling condition, and ensure the sear engagement is strictly safe before you ever load a live round. Now, I want to turn the firing line over to you. Drop down into the comments section and tell me about the greatest tactical steal you have ever found for under $100. I read through all of your range stories. If you got some solid tactical intel out of this briefing, do me a favor. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you are fully prepared for our next deployment. Stay safe out there. Keep your powder dry, train hard, and I will see you on the range.